one thing he told me that really hit home for me was, there's a lot of things, a lot of ambitions and goals and dreams I'd had that it just won't be fulfilled. And that gets back to, I do not want to allow myself to have undue expectations.
I'm wondering if because you have excelled at so many things that you've tried, and that maybe things came very easy to you in terms of intellect, putting together things or numbers. I don't know. I'm just assuming you kind of hinted that things were easy for you with accounting and things. Do you think acting is more of a challenge, and it's something that, not that you're not great at it. Yeah, we've seen your performances. You're excellent, but that it's hard to book roles, and so therein lies the challenge for you?
So, as a plus size, a large comedic actor, the jobs are fairly easy to get for people in my category, truthfully. So I think it's harder. It's harder for other categories of actors. I'm speaking from the talent management perspective because I was a talent manager. I worked in talent representation, and I've had this conversation with many agents and many casting directors over the years. When I repped actors, when you're a super character, I had a 5-hour beautiful dinner. We have these great dinners. One of my dear friends from at least 25 years now, I've known Hugh Leone. He represents Oscar-winning actors. He's a wonderful, talented talent agent and has been very successful and represents wonderful clients. You can look him up on IMDb Pro. And he's with Coast to Coast Talent Group. He's a partner there. And we have these wonderful long chats, and our dinners are like 5 hours. We literally talk about everything under the sun. A lot of it is the business. And I don't really have a hard time getting jobs. I scored my first job working with the Saturday Night Live group. It was my first SAG job, and it was called Smash, and it was a small part, very nominal, modest part. But I worked with Dave McCrary, and he's a very nice man. And he now is, at the time, he wasn't married to Emma Stone, but now he's married to Emma Stone. And she was in the project as well. And they treat you like gold. It was a very beautiful production, very nicely done. And worked in the scene with Kyle Mooney. He was my scene partner. I was his scene partner. And, that came easy, but that was a character. They're looking for the chubby guy. And I embraced that. That's who I am. I am the funny fat guy. And if I can take that and make it a business, and that opens doors, I'm delighted. I'm sure if you ask anybody, would you like to lose 100 pounds? Well, here's a pill. It's a magic pill. You can do it. I'm like, yeah, but I like cupcakes and I like cookies and Oreos and I like fine dining. It's tough. I like steaks and, lobsters and things like that with butter. And so the thing that Hugh and I were talking about, we had this wonderful long chat about everything. I say everything, literally everything. And it was clear that, people who are super characters do have a little leg up because it's a smaller category. Like, you don't have that many jobs for the super characters, but you have more likely to book it. It's not like you have, five, like when you would do if I was ever involved in a casting, you might have 5,000 people submit for younger leading male, younger leading female, middle of the road person, right? Everyday. As opposed to the person who weighs, plus size, chubby, round, whatever that might be, you won't have as many options. And when I go to casting sessions and I see the competition, a lot of guys they're sloppy, they're not well put together, they're not shaving, and I shave every day, I comb my hair, I wash, I shower, I'm very put together. So that's a specific type. And if they're looking for that guy, who's like the John Candy, a great actor, or the John Goodman, or whomever it might be, I will get that audition, and my chances of booking it are pretty good. And so I've had the privilege of working on probably 3 dozen projects in 12 months. A lot of it's voiceover too, so I can't say it's all what I look like. Some of it's been voiceover. But I had a job working on it was like an airplane. I was like in an airplane working on a security job. It's like a security commercial, and I don't think it's out yet, so I can't talk about it. But it's a famous security brand for internet security, which is up my alley. And the lady who did the interview, who hired me, she was very nice. She took me aside and she was sitting down. She wanted to have a little briefing with me before I got on the set. And we were at the set. It was this big hangar with a plane, a fake plane, of course. And they were getting set up and the equipment started rolling in. And she said, the minute we saw you, we had to hire you. You were the guy, blah, blah, blah. And so I really do embrace the just sort of real average Joe dad type guy, maybe a little, little couch potato-ish, always energetic when I need to be, but ready to have a good time and relax and grill a burger and eat a steak and have a Budweiser or whatever. But that's me. That's who I am, really, in real life. So it's not really acting, kind of. So getting back to your I want to roll back to what you were talking about the skills of acting. Acting is hard work, and no one should underestimate the amount of talent needed to memorize copy, deliver it naturally, credibly, believably, and I am really a freshman actor. I've been acting since I was in junior high school. I was the lead in a school play. I want to clarify, despite being in repertory theater and doing all these different things, I'm a freshman actor. And you can definitely see the masters at work, that what they bring to the table, who I would like to be directing, and what they bring to the table is just steps above what most people are ready to deliver. And that is a thorough commitment to memorizing lines, a commitment to avoiding, I don't really believe in method acting, and most of the successful actors I know are not method actors. And the ability to, come prepared, to be hyper-focused, to have fun on the set, but we know why we're there. There's a big difference between having a nice conversation, chatting, and being in the way. I've been on sets where people are in the way, and I've been on sets where people are participating. And I want to tell you a little story about Malum. I was in a film called Malum. It was in almost 300 theaters, and in Malum, it was my first film job. I get to do a co-starring job where I was actually in a theater movie. And it was my first project in a theater. And when I auditioned for this, and I had the pleasure of auditioning for Anthony DiBlasi and his team, and he says, are you sure you're willing to do this thing? All the things I had to do, right? I had to do some stuff. You're comfortable living in Louisville? Is it Louisville, Louisville? He said, you comfortable being in Louisville? I said, what, you mean near all the single malts? I was like, yeah, the bourbon. I'll be hanging out at the bourbon when I'm not on the set. So he says, are you sure? Yeah, I said, yes, I'm fully committed to staying in an apartment and no problem. I can be in Louisville for 3 weeks, no problem. When I got to the set and I started working, I got an email from him saying, hey, you have any questions, email me. So the first thing I did, and I really want to connect this back to the acting, okay, the talent, the ability to act. He said to me, any questions you might have about what's going to happen? I said, the first thing I had a question about, I was being a little assertive, I was being a little forward. I said, yeah, my first question is, can I get more lines? And he immediately replied back and said, we'll see what we can do on the set. I like to play around on the set. We'll see what happens. So two things happened. Two things were, he said to me that he really liked me on set. So even when I wasn't working, my day out of days was XYZ, and he said, you're welcome to come anytime. Oh, so he told the PA, he says, grab CMS a director's chair and put it over here. So I hung out on the set with him on days I wasn't working, and he says, I really like having you on the set. We've subsequently become very close friends, by the way. And he's directed 10 movies, and he was the producer of Midnight Meat Train, which really launched the career. It had Brooke Shields in it, and it was a very, I don't like to use the word cult classic, because it's actually a very mainstream film. And he said to me on the set while we were working, hey, I wrote these notes here. Why don't you just memorize this and just go inside and perform it? I was in costume. He says, I happen to be in my costume still. I was still on the set. He said, hey, memorize these lines. So he gave me a whole new scene, and I was working with one of the stars, and I went in and did the scene. It was a whole brand new scene that wasn't in the script. And then at the end of the movie, there's a closing kind of a finale where Jessica Sula, who's the main star, she's doing the Michael Jackson. She did the Michael Jackson film as well. She plays LaToya in the Michael Jackson movie. A delightful lady and very kind and generous heart. She, she does this closeout where she's like mourning her death of her mother. And so I won't spoil the movie because I want you to watch it if you haven't watched it already. And at the end he says, hey, CMS, and you and Sam was my partner on we're the partners in the movie. We're both dead, by the way. And he says, hey, we want you guys to close the movie out, get in there and be like at the front of the flock. There's a flock of people. And we want you to be at the front of the flock and you're like laughing at her and making fun of her. This is totally not scripted. And we improv the whole ending. So when you see the end sequence of the film where Sam and I are like laughing at her and making sarcastic comments and pointing fingers and doing all that stuff and having a fun moment, totally wasn't in the script. So the moral of the story is you should ask for more lines if there's a good opportunity. If someone asks you, is there anything you want to ask me? The first thing you should ask a director is, hey, can I get more lines? That would be my first question. And as far as acting goes, I don't want to minimize my worth. I think I'm a competent actor, but this goes back to your original kind of question. I think I have a lot to learn as an actor. I'm much more interested in developing projects, and I will put myself in them. However, I don't fantasize about being this, if I were to use an analog, I would like to be, in the guy who's like in True Lies, the buddy, right? Have you ever seen True Lies? It's a fun movie.
It's been a few years.
That's okay. It's a fun movie. I won't spoil it for you, but when you get a chance to watch it, it's a really big budget James Cameron film, super big budget Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And, so I think it's a great example of, I would love to be the buddy. I would like to do, like when I should have the good fortune of making movies with big stars, I would like to be their friend or their buddy, or have what I refer to as the sideshow characters. And as I get to be a better actor, as I have more competency acting, it would be my pleasure to entertain audiences. Should people be interested, because somebody will find it entertaining. You will then see me wanting to do more. I always want to perform at my best. So whatever I can do, deliver, and make great, I will then, as my acting skills improve and I'm more entertaining to an audience, I would like to do bigger jobs. However, in my own films, I would like to bring jobs to the level of my competency without limiting myself, but knowing myself, where I stand in the acting skill. And I'm just learning, Brian Cutler is a great mentor and teacher, and I believe in earnest that I will become a better actor, but I feel like I would really like to push harder, because you were talking about my sense of like the time running out. This is not some morbid thing. It's the knowing my mortality, having lost my mother, having lost my best friend, having seen these folks pass. One of the things that Mike told me, just as he was passing, it was the big cancer, of course. And he liked to smoke, so, it was self-inflicted. One thing he told me that really hit home for me was, there's a lot of things, a lot of ambitions and goals and dreams I'd had that just won't be fulfilled. And that gets back to, I do not want to allow myself to have undue expectations. I want to deliver beautiful product. I want to make it great. I want to do the best I can. However, I don't set these lofty goals. I think it's nonsense to set a bunch of lofty goals. And I remember Steven Spielberg saying in an interview once, and I admire Steven Spielberg's movies. He kind of comes off as being sort of a casual guy, but he is kind of a genius. He's a genius director. And so when people see him talk, I don't think they really respect the level at which he is, like as a person. He is kind of a genius director. Things that he does that you don't necessarily pay that much attention to, but when you start realizing the things that he does to make things interesting. Some of the movies that he's made that I find, I mean, I really, really love War of the Worlds, one of my favorite movies that he's directed. And, he said that he doesn't really go out of his way to make too much of a plan. Let's see where the wind blows type thing. And that gets me back to Quentin Tarantino had this wonderful comment about acting and directing. He said, the easiest thing in the world to do, paraphrasing, of course, Mr. Tarantino, the easiest thing in the world to do is give an adjustment. So, let the actor do the thing. I watch directors argue with the actors. I've seen it because I've been on a lot of sets now, and I watch them argue with the actors. What Anthony DiBlasi has done in his style is, hey, just, go do your thing. Let me see what you're going to give. Show me what you got. I'm like, show me what you got. And then he'll just give you a little comment. And then you show him what he wanted. And then he might say, is there anything else you want to do? So I think that a great director is going to give the actor the chance to deliver what they had in mind. And then they'll, give them maybe some adjustments, and then perhaps come in and do something totally different, right? And so I think that when I look at what undue expectations might look like, I don't want to walk into a thing saying, well, that's how I wrote it. This is what I had in mind. This is how it's supposed to be. Sometimes you have that happy accident where it's not exactly what you had in mind. The red market. So, we have the interviewer in the red market. It's a character. And it was a zany delivery by Meg Reynolds. And I told her, I just said, it's like a used car salesperson. She's selling the organs. We don't really know what this thing is until the end. You finally realize what it is. Let people figure that out when they watch it. But she was the only, truthfully, she was the only performer on set who just got it, like completely got the character the way I envisioned it. And then the other actors, I accepted their performances the way they came. I thought they did excellent work, all of them, excellent work. For some reason, Meg just sort of brought the thing. I don't know, the magic happened with her. She just got it. I couldn't even remember giving her one adjustment. I think I corrected her on the pronunciation of a word. And I might have just heard it wrong. I think she said it. She thought she did it right. That was the only thing. It's one thing. Other than that, it was like, I think we did 3 takes and we were done with her. Boom, 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 she got it. And it was just stunning the way she pulled it together. It was great. I think she won an award for Best Supporting Actress at one of the festivals. So I hope that's a good answer long answer to your question about performing.